right. All right, looks like we are on. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Hello there. All right, chat room is on. But does this thing work? All right, looks good. Ooh, okay, looks good. We got the evidence file. Can I do that? All right, we'll just do it again. No one's on yet. Okay, we. Let's go back to number one. Hey Zen, how are you? Okay. I got a minute. Good, good. All right. Hello. All right, since you're here, mic check, audio check, video check. Hey, nice student. Another lovely day on Twitch. Yeah, week is good. Week is good. Week is good. All right. Mic check, audio check, sound check, video check. Check, check, 1, 2. Hey, Stolfy, how are you? All right, I'm good. All right. Yeah, the university schedule really messed up this week. We had no class on one day because of Patriots Day, but then we had no class yesterday on Wednesday as well because of a makeup day. And now, because of how messed up it is, to make things even worse, I have class on Friday night. Yeah, I have class on Friday night. That's with my other online class. So it's like, yeah, so that's just really strange. So this week is all messed up. I mean, might as well to take the whole week off. Might as well. Anyway, I digress. Hello, everyone. It is 4:30. This is the second to last episode of season number 6. This is the second to last episode um, of Twitch. Next Thursday will be the final Twitch session of the season. And as I said last week, next Thursday we'll talk about, okay, where do you go from here? Where do you go from here in the security course? Now that you've taken security, like what do you do? Like what opportunities are there out there to learn more on cybersecurity? Hey, Pookie. What's up, Pookie? Thanks for tuning in. So it's a very different Far Cry than the first previous, I don't know, 6 seasons, after the first 5 seasons, where the last class was basically just a vicious rant from me. But I would just do that in class this time around. But next Thursday, I might as well open it up for everyone to talk about, okay, where do you go from here in terms of learning more about cybersecurity? Not only in learning option, but also career options as well too. But today is, believe it or not, which I always find funny, is people find this the most entertaining and the most one of the more informative sessions of of any Twitch season. And here's a little motivation. So, as I said on day one of this class, I've always said that everything that you do in this class, you'll see again, especially when it comes to labs. A very good example was this very first lab I given for the first lab of this whole security course, which is working on the command line. And there are reasons why I ask some of these questions. For example, the MAC address I provided. I mentioned that we used that in that was found in the honeypot. But today I will finally address the other question that I asked for a very good reason on the first lab, which is What command can you use to securely delete a file? And the answer I was not looking for on this first lab, if you said straight RM or trash bin, it was the answer I was exactly not looking for. Uh, to really secure delete a file, you need to use a command such as like shred. And the motivation of today really is a big part of today is, well, if the answer is not RM, if you can't securely delete a file using RM, number one, why? And furthermore, number two, and most importantly, how do you recover files that were deleted with straight RM? That's that. And today's topic is going to be forensics. Yeah, forensics. And you may have heard the term forensics used quite a bit. Of course, forensics is commonly associated with law enforcement. Um, you've seen the CSI series on TV, and yeah, a lot of what you see on TV is fictitious, but yes, forensics do have a lot of tie-in with law enforcement. Hey, Freedom Fighter, how are ya? Nice. Yeah, everyone got like the better emojis and stuff than I do. All right. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about law enforcement. Okay? Yeah, I'm going to talk about a little bit about law enforcement and good timing because the incident handling part, that is a very, very good prelude to the final Twitch session, which is next Thursday. So what I'm going to do today is, well, what we're going to learn today is, well, number one, how to acquire data from disk using a tool better known as DD. We're going to analyze an image of a disk from DD using forensics tools such as Foremost and Autopsy and Sleuthkit. So yes, we're going to recover deleted files off of a disk image as well. Okay, so it's nice. For some reason, people always find this the most entertaining and the most intriguing topic of them all. I don't know why. Okay, so it's acquire, analyze, recover. Those are going to be the outcomes of today. Yes, we're going to do live demonstration today. Oop. So scenario, here's a scenario. So imagine you have been compromised, attacked, or have been involved in a criminal incident. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, and even local, not only FBI, but even we have a pretty damn good. Say what I mean. People can say whatever they want about law enforcement and stuff, but actually, I'll have to say that it was actually law enforcement that really also helped. I give them a lot of credit for helping my career as well too, as you'll see. I've always talked about the Wall of Sheep. Yeah, they gave me a start, but also law enforcement, especially the Medford Police Department as well too. So you may be wondering, how did they get involved in my career? Well, they did. Yeah, the Medford Police, that's in Medford, Massachusetts, where Tufts is. Yeah, yeah. So people can say whatever they want, but I do want to credit law enforcement for helping my career when I was a young buck. So if you're in a criminal incident, okay, what's you're gonna be asked, what's the evidence? What happened? When did it happen? Who was involved? List goes on. That's a scenario. So in short, what is forensics? So forensics really boils down to the preservation, identification, extraction, interpretation, and documentation. The preservation of what? The preservation of computer media. Now, the preservation of computer media in this context defined as computer media like SD cards, hard disk, external and internal, memory, RAM. Um, those are what we call computer media. Um, and of course, as of recent, what's been extremely big has been mobile devices like phones. Preservation of that kind of computer media. You want to do an identification of computer media? It's like, well, what's on the drive? Extraction. Well, can we extract all the files, including metadata and deleted files? Interpretation and documentation are extremely important. One of the things I've learned in forensics is what you don't get in a college education, and you really got to be extremely careful to the point where you have like no stones unturned. The reason is because your work, your interpretation, your documentation will most likely be used in the court of law. And when you're in a court of law, I mean, they grill the living shit out of you. So you better make sure you know what the hell you're doing. And you better make sure you leave no stones unturned. Um, so the process of forensics boils down to okay, assess the situation. You're in some home. Okay, is the computer running? Is the computer off? All right, what kind of devices are there? You want to acquire data. Uh, that means making copies of hard drive, phone, SD card. List goes on. You want to analyze the data. Um, well, given a disk image, you want to take a look at, okay, where the file's located, list goes on, and of course, reporting. Okay? So, just a little bit about how it is to work with law enforcement. So, before you do anything, before you going into assessing a situation, before you going in to raid someone, you gotta obtain a search warrant. And here's an example of how a search warrant actually looks like uh, for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You really want to do a search? Now get a warrant. Here's an example form from the trial court of Massachusetts. You got to fill this out as an applicant, namely someone in law enforcement. Sign also needs to be sealed by the court as well. Okay, so you got to fill out the information. Now here's an example of a search warrant. What happens like when you actually get a search warrant? Here it is. Here's my warrant. I'm coming in. We're coming in. We're going to assess the crime. We think you are holding X, Y, and Z. We think, for example, you have a case where yeah, insurance fraud or child porn, stuff like that. And what's interesting about the search warrant is in the back, if you're the officer serving the warrant, back is, or page number 2 is, okay, here is a list of all the things that were seized or taken. Here's a list of an inventory of items that were found. SD card, 2 external hard drive, a laptop, a monitor, a keyboard, and of course, very important. What they definitely do is they also take the router as well too. Yeah, it's very stressful. Yeah, it's very stressful. You basically can't get anything wrong. You can't. You basically have no margin of error. Yeah, you can't take back what. Oh, all right. Let's leave it at that. So I want to give you some terminology here to start off. Like very important. Like any topic is very terminology. Volatile data. Volatile data is, well, data that actually moves quite and changes quite a bit. You talk about stressful. This is extremely stressful to work with because it's like, oh God, you're dealing with a moving target all the time. That data changes on you. Um, and it's also really hard to acquire at times too. Volatile data include RAM, memory, and processes. Yes, processes that are running on your computer. Why processes is volatile data? Why is that important? When there's like malware, like ransomware stuff. Non-volatile data is what you've all seen, you probably all used and heard of on a day-to-day basis. This includes like hard disk, USB drives, um, largely hard disks and USB drives. Okay, like when they're on an off state, you can start to make copies. Speaking of copying stuff, there's 2 types of acquisition that you can do. One is called physical acquisition. This is a bit-by-bit copy of the entire physical store. So, for example, yep, like me. I'm out. Remind me. Okay. So here, I have in front of me, this is a SanDisk Ultra USB 3.0 64 gigabyte USB stick. Okay, so this is non-volatile data. Now, I have one or two options that I can do for acquiring data. This is 64 gigabytes, that's a lot. Back in the heydays, like 20 years ago from today, 512 megabyte was the quote unquote, what was the standard. Physical acquisition is a bit-by-bit copy of the entire physical store. Yes, a bit-by-bit copy of all 64 gigabytes of this USB stick. Logical acquisition is a bit-by-bit copy of only certain files and directories on a file system or a partition. So, here's the thing. You do a physical acquisition of this 64 gigabyte USB stick, that means you have to take a bit-by-bit copy of 64 gigabytes of this entire this drive. The good news is you have the entire physical drive on you. There's two big problems. Three, really, if you actually add, three. Number one, 64 gigabytes is a lot. To do a 64 gigabyte bit-by-bit copy of an entire SD card, that can take hours. That takes a friggin' long time. Number three, and this actually happens on occasion, is what happens if you decide when you start doing a bit-by-bit copy of the drive and the copying fails on you. So it's like you just spend 3 hours, and of course the copying just completely died. Usually because the hard drive has a bad sector of a couple broken bits in there, and then you're screwed. That's a lot of time wasted for physical acquisition. The other big problem with the physical acquisition is, do you need all that data? If you only want to get certain files and folders because you're dead sure that this is where the file is, what's the point in getting a copy of all the other stuff? And this is where logical acquisition, just a bit-by-bit copies of directories and files on a file system. Here's a good example of where logical acquisition is used. Android devices. Now, Android devices have so many different partitions on a phone. But if you only want like a certain file or folder because that's where all the apps are, just take a copy of that. Or you just know that all the pictures on the phone are stored on this certain folder, you just want to get that file. The good news is you're targeting a certain location, and you don't have to deal with what they call needle in a haystack. The bad news is you might have missed something in your copying of logical acquisition. Whether you're doing logical or physical acquisition, you can run into this big problem of dirt. Yeah, what I mean by dirt. Well, the problem is that when you're doing a bit-by-bit copy of a drive, and then somehow, in some way, some things get into the drive while you're actually copying, namely writing of data to the drive while you're doing a copy. That's bad. Okay. Because what happened if, for example, if it's remote malware? Does a compressor do the same thing? I'm not entirely sure what the compressor. No. Compressor usually don't do a copy. They do something else. No, that doesn't. No, avocado. That doesn't. No, that doesn't ring a bell. So the worst thing is if you're making a copy of a drive and then, well, for example, the computer is being remotely remotely controlled by um, let's say by a bot master somewhere, and you start deleting files, that's really bad. Oh yeah, it's like a bit-by-bit copy. Well, we'll come back. We'll come to that in a few moments. Okay. Um, so what a write blocker is actually a physical device. It's a physical device that you just put your drive and your copying stuff to copy an acquisition without any any chance of anyone or anything writing to what you're trying to copy. And what a write blocker is, well, block any write commands to the drive. You only do read. And if you're curious, this is how a write blocker looks like. They're not cheap. A write blocker can cost hundreds of dollars. Here's an example of the Tableau write blocker forensics USB bridge. This is, okay, so one end goes to the drive that you're copying stuff to, the destination, and another actually goes to the thing that you're trying to copy. But what the whole purpose of the write blocker is prevents any writing to disk, to that disk that you're actually trying to copy data from. These are not cheap. They're like a couple $100s. Now here's another one. So it looks like this one is, okay, you're trying to make a copy of all the contents of this hard drive here to a certain destination, and you don't want to have anything writing to this drive that can really screw things up. So this is a write blocker that prevents any writing, only reading only, no writing to this to the drive that you're trying to acquire data from. Okay. And I know that there was an article I saw about write blocker from Linux Journal. Oh, damn. Is it Linux Journal? I forget what it was. It was a really good article, like way back when. No, I can't find it anymore. Write blocker, block up. Okay, whatever. Alright, chain of custody is chronological documentation from warrant, seizure, custody, control, transfer, analysis, disposal of the device. Okay. So, well, interesting. I kind of answered both of these questions. What could possibly go wrong if you don't use write blocker to acquire evidence or the data? Well, the thing is that what happened if you're making a copy of a drive and remote, botmaster or someone decide to remove files, or what happened if there is like a time bomb that can just delete stuff. What are the pros and cons of using physical versus logical acquisition? When would you want to use one over the other? Again, there's a time consideration, also space consideration as well too. Um, if you wanted to leave like no stones unturned, you probably want to spend all that time with a physical acquisition. I heard there is a lossless and lossy compression. No, 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 no. That is for zips. No, if the compression lossy and well, however, I can't say that. No, you're not wrong. There is a bit by bit copy, but there is no compression. But there are also ways to get it wrong in terms of losing information. So lossless compression and lossy compression are things for things like zips, raw file, tarballs. That's what compression is used for. Bit by bit copy is a little different. So I forget who it was in security in class on Tuesday. Someone asked a question about the malware lab and the use grep. The most important forensics tools that you gotta use, the most popular ones that comes in so handy are strings, obvious, to find vestiges of data. MD5, SHA-1, SHA-256, SHA-512, the checksums. Why? Integrity purposes. You always need to calculate and to check the checksum of the evidence that you're working with for integrity purposes. Because because usually it's going to be more than one person working on an evidence file, but if two people are working on the same disk image, but they both get different checksums and hash values, something got corrupted. That's not good at all. DD, FTK, the forensics toolkit. NCASE is like pretty much the de facto standard. Sometimes it's like this is like de facto standard when it comes to law enforcement. They use NCASE. Steg Detect, Salute Kit, Foremost, Salute Kit and Autopsy will use, and also will use Foremost. But if you're gonna do this for usually in law enforcement or like the FBI, the Department of Defense, or you're gonna use NCASE, which is like a couple $1,000s a license. Um, Sometimes I wonder about when you're trying to back up your computer. How do you know how do you know you aren't moving over bad files? That's a good question. I don't know. I guess we can use the resources that you shared, like the scan beforehand. Yeah. This is always a question, and this is one of the reasons why it's funny that you had to bring this up, Zen. This is the reason why I don't use what's that thing from Apple, Time Machine. Because even if I use Time Machine, it's a great backup tool and it works. How do you know you're not moving over a bad file? You just don't. There's some vendor who introduced that as SSD that is write once, useful for back. Really? Huh. I want to know that. Uh, Eric Zimmerman, Capon. Oh, what is that? Isn't Eric Zimmerman the guy who did PGP? Ah. Is this what we're talking about, Cape? Artifact, alright. That was essentially okay. Find forensically useful fun. Oh, cool. Holy crap. Holy crap. I learned something new. Alright, here it is. Cape is a multifunction program that primarily collects files and alright, that's pretty cool. Nice. Nice. Target collection, module execution. Oh, I gotta look into this. And the other one that you mentioned was ZimTools. Oh, I never tried that. ZimTools. Hello. This? Are you talking this ZimTools? WGET YouTube DL? Are you referring to this? Cape got a triage image. Ah, yeah, thanks, Freedom Fighter. Yeah, I forgot about JPEG. Oh, Eric Zimmerman ZimTools. And of course, it looks like that. It looks like, oh, are we talking easy tools here? I know Sans is. There we go. Ah. Huh. There we go. Looks like that Sans Institute actually used them too. Regexploit. Wait a minute. Shellbag. Huh. So a lot of Windows ones. This is. Hold on. This is very cool. But wait a minute. What's the. I see a sums process LNK file. Okay, that sounds pretty nice. I see there's a lot some similarities with what's that thing for Windows called Sysinternals? Reg Explorer. There you go. Yeah, it seems like there's some tie-ins with yeah, it seems like there is some tie-in with Sysinternals because I know Sysinternals have some similar looking tools as well. I'll take a look. Documentation. Alright, we'll come back to that. Alright, I gotta look into that. This is good. Alright, so we can add to that. We can add Arsenal to that. Hold on. Sans. Sans, Eric Zimmerman tools. Yeah? Boom. And we'll talk more about Sans later on, and also next week. Oh, and here's a poster from Sans. Oh, you had to log in a download? Huh. Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh, here's the poster. Here it is, Eric Zimmerman tool. Here's the cheat sheet. Look at that. Hey, thanks. Was it Pookie that sent that stuff? Oh. Wait a minute. How come, alright, God, my chat is all messed up now. Hold on. Stream manager. Wow. I gotta take a look into this. Even string searching? This is Windows. Alright, this is good. I'm gonna fly on. So other tools, Eric Zimmerman tools, I gotta add that here. This looks really good. Alright, demo time. So, alright, this is what we're gonna do. I don't need this anymore. I have an evidence file. I'll copy this link for everyone. Everyone can play along. I have a disk image here. So that's what we're going to cover. Oh, before we do that, now we're going to need to look at. Is there something in my background for that? Oh, I got Kali open. Yes, we'll need that. So, okay, so demo times. First thing that I did mention was something called DD. So what's the whole purpose of DD? Does anyone here have an idea what DD stands for? Without cheating. Anyone have any idea what DD stands for? Fun trivia question for anyone here. Nope, not data dump. Anyone else? DD, the command DD. Trivia question. This is a computer trivia question. What does DD stands for? Not data dump. Very few will get it right. DD. Now clear the screen. Man, DD. DD stands for, nope. DD stands for convert and copy. Yes, DD stands for convert and copy. What do you mean, what? Really? Here's why. Here's why DD stands for convert and copy. Now, back in the 70s, in the days when people, when the fathers of the Unix, Linux, the command line, no one liked to type. No one liked to type. So, how people typed back in the days was using two fingers, and they would do something like LS, MV, RM, CD, okay, VI, stuff like that. So, there is a reason why a lot of commands are 2 characters or 3 at the most, because no one liked to type. So why in the world is convert and copy DD? Well, the reason why is because convert and copy CC has been taken already, the C compiler, and it still works up to today. So the C compiler is either CC or now more commonly GCC. Yeah. So the only logical option was, okay, for convert and copy is not to use CC, but to use, well, move a letter up, DD. Man, DD. So how you do use DD is actually pretty damn straightforward. There are very few options. So the DD utility copies the standard input to a standard output. Input data is read and written in 512 byte blocks. Now that's important. Input data is read and written in 512 byte blocks. If input reads are short, inputs from multiple reads are aggregated to form the output block. When finished, DD displays a number of complete and partial input and output block and truncated records to the standard input output. There are a few flags, but how you use DD is the following. It's really DD input file equals something. Output file equals, that's it. It's usually it takes in really at the basic is 2 arguments. Input IF for in file, OF for output file. Okay, sounds easy enough. So how do you make a copy of something like this USB stick here? Alright, so let's get a little more involved. Let's get a little bit more. So here I am, I have a SanDisk USB 3.0 64 gigabyte drive. Now I'm going to punch this in. Okay. And it's a personal drive. Now, the first thing is not that simple to just type in anything. Okay, so wait a minute. What in the world is the input file, the IF? Output file can be anything that you want to name it to. How do you actually determine what to copy? That's another question. Now, you're in Mac OS. You would need to use the disk utils. Okay, sudo man disk utils. And why you want to use disk utils? Disk util. Disk util is to use to modify, verify, and repair local disk. Okay. The most important command that we need for disk util is list. Sudo disk util list. And this will actually list all the connected drives on your computer. I have dev / dev disk 0 / dev disk 3, disk 4, and finally here / dev disk 5. I need to copy this /dev / disk 5. Okay, you can also do, I don't know if LSBLK actually work on, no, it doesn't. On Linux it does. That may actually show you some of the drives. So if you're on Linux land, just do LSBLK to get the proper name of the disk. The human readable version of my SD card is called personal. But the computer name, the location really is /dev / disk 5. This, as it says, is an external physical drive. Clear the screen. So now I have nothing on my desktop, well, other than the mounted drive here. So now I can use sudo dd if equals /dev / disk 5, output equal SD card dot img or dd, doesn't matter. And once I hit the enter key, it's going to start to make a bit-by-bit copy of the personal drive in 512 megabytes, 512 kilobyte blocks. I'm going to if I hit Control C right now, watch what happens. The number of records out, the number of records in, the number of records out. So it looks like there's no corruption. A lot of bytes transferred in 13 seconds. So the SD card.img, it copied 717 megabytes in a few seconds. 13 seconds. That's a lot. Okay, 717 megabytes in 13 seconds. Of course, this is not 60, but what you do want to do is if you want to copy the whole 64 gigabyte, you just have to wait and wait and wait until this message, these 3 lines pop up of some sort. Okay, so if we do a bit-by-bit copy right now, we do a full DD copy of the SD card, it's going to take an hour or something. We're not going to do that. Anyway, so now, well, hold on. Before I actually do that, before I actually eject the disk, now, if you want to speed things up, you could. You go to DD, you can actually do something out of like a BS for bit sector. Oh no, block size. Set both the input and output block size to n bytes. If no conversion value other than no error, no truncate, then each uh, input block is copied to the output as a single block with a. Okay, so what this means is you can set the block size to be something that's greater than 512 bytes. So, for example, if I want to really speed things up, I can do block size. I can do, instead of 512 bytes, I do 5 megabytes. Watch what happens. Now I'm going to speed things up. I'm going to overwrite SD card.img, and I'm going to do a block size of 5 megabytes, and it should actually copy a lot more information. Now the problem is, the bigger the block size, the chances of you having errors are much higher than some of the corruption stuff. Alright. So now 16 seconds. In 16 seconds, I have 735. I guess. I don't know what the difference is. Alright. So now we're not going to do a copy of this, but I can tell you, you may be wondering and asking me if I, do I use DD often? And the answer is I actually do. I actually use DD quite a bit, especially if I have to make backup copies of drives for Raspberry Pis. So for Raspberry Pi, if you're not familiar with them, they're just a they used to be just a $35 computer. Alright, a Raspberry Pi is a $35 computer. It's like that. But what does this have to do with DD? Well, for Raspberry Pi, it comes with everything, including, sometimes it even comes with a power source, but it has all the connections that you have. But the hard drive has to be a micro SD card. And if you want to make a copy of the SD card, if you want to put the operating system, what is called Raspbian, which is all Debian-based Linux for the Raspberry Pi, if you want to make a complete copy of the operating system, what was that? Here it is. Do I have the installer? No. Let me do Raspbian and DD. They should have the, here it is. If you want to make a copy of your of the Raspbian operating system onto an SD card, I always use DD. And to make a backup of a Raspberry Pi entire system, I use DD. They should show you the instructions here, do they? Here it is. How to back up your Raspberry Pi as a disk image. Here it is. Turn into a small image file that you can share and take anywhere. There's that. And there should be a LSB, okay? And of course, you want to copy all your data in an image file. There you go. There you byte sector equals 1 megabyte. Tom's Hardware is pretty good. So if you're interested in how to actually make a copy of Raspberry Pi drives, either the operating system to an SD card or back up the SD card to an external file, use DD. Okay? But we do a full disk image with DD right now. It's going to take like 2-3 hours. It's not going to work. However, so this is where, again, I have nothing on my desktop, but I do have an image that we can work with. So on my desktop, I have nothing. Evidence.dmg. 64 megabytes, something like that. Copy of this. Here we go. I have a disk image here. 64 megabytes. Should be, right? And a copy of that. 50 megabytes. Thought it was 64. Alright, now here's the thing about this disk image. I'm gonna go and open it up. And this is a, looks like it's a FAT16, an MS-DOS FAT16 drive. If I open it up right now, how many files do you see? I want you to all take a look at how many files are there. Now I'm going to go to my terminal too. CD vol. Ooh, CD evidence. This is a Windows drive. You see 2. Avocado, you see 2. There you go. I see stack.txt and a WebP file. If I do an ls-la, how many files do you see? A little bit more. You see a txt file, a WP file, and the dot underscore file of the .txt and a WebP file. Avocado, you see 2 files, right? Really, there's 2? And even you see ls-la, it's not that much stuff here. That correct, Avocado? Can you verify? Let's open up this WebP. There we go. Okay. That's your picture. More stack.txt. Okay. And you have the one, you have a text file smashing a task stack for fun and profit. This was the seminal paper on buffer overflow. So Avocado, you only see 2 files here. Even if I do an ls-la, nothing much. 2 files and a dot underscore file. Now, the question now is, Avocado said there's only 2 files here that he sees. He is, yeah, that's being listed. There it is, 2 files. And I'm not playing tricks on you. There's no magic tricks here. What if I told you, are you sure there's only 2 files? What if they're deleted files? I guess the follow-up question is, here we are, we have a disk image. Is there a way that we can recover, we can see even more files that are in this evidence drive, like deleted files? That's what we're going to do right now. So Avocado said there's 2 files, stack and this SpongeBob meme. There you go. But are there more memes on this drive? We'll do that right now. Whatever. Don't need this. Throw it in the trash. Oh. Let me get out of here. I don't need the terminal either. Let's throw everything in the trash. And now I'm going to go to Kali Linux for a reason. Why Kali Linux? Because it has all the tools in the world that I ever need, and I don't have to install a whole hell of a lot. It also has a good suite, a good collection of forensics tools. There you go. Really? Kali Linux have a bunch of forensics tools? Oh yeah. You go to the menu, and you go to this tool for information gathering, which I'm sure you've used. Vulnerability analysis, such as Nikto and Nmap are here. Web application analysis, such as WP-Scan, SQL Map, Zap. There's even password attacks, such as like John the Ripper, Hashcat is on here. And here we go, forensics tools. There's autopsy and foremost. Okay, and we're going to use both of them today. So the first thing I want to do on Kali Linux, I don't have anything here. I'm going to my workspace, and I don't have anything here. I have a bunch of malware folder, but I do want to do a wget of the entire evidence file that we had just downloaded. So I want to make a download of /comp/116 evidence.dmg. There you go. So I just downloaded a copy of evidence.dmg onto Kali Linux. Why is that? Well, the next step, and we're going to use a tool called SaluteKit. My introductions to you to SaluteKit and Autopsy. TSK, okay, is the SaluteKit and Autopsy. The SaluteKit and Autopsy is open source digital forensics tools. How does SaluteKit and Autopsy work under the hood? They work together. Autopsy is a graphical user interface based program that allows you to analyze hard drives, smartphones, and all that. You can build modules in Java or Python. SaluteKit is just a command line, a list of command line tools and a C library that allow you to analyze this image and to recover files from them. And I know that SaluteKit uses a lot of like the really basic tools like string, CD, MV, file. It is used behind the scenes, so SaluteKit is really used behind the scene in Autopsy and in many other commercial-based operating system tools. Again, it's free and open source. It looks a little different if you're using Windows and Windows or Mac. So how do you use SaluteKit is this. So sudo autopsy. So the first thing is you want to fire up Autopsy. How you actually run Autopsy, it has to run as a server. So here it is, the Autopsy Forensics browser. And again, as you said, Autopsy is just a graphical front end for the SaluteKit. So it says, okay, open up an HTML and paste this in. Well, just open up a web browser, or you just do right-click, open the link. There you go. Once you have Autopsy running, and again, you got to keep Autopsy running. Don't keep this process running and use Control-C to exit. Don't Control-C yet. All right. It said your browser currently has JavaScript enabled. You don't need to have JavaScript to use Autopsy, and it is recommended that you turn it off for security reasons. I don't need to do that. So what we're going to do now, this is an old version of Autopsy, I think it is. I just want to create a brand new case. So the case number is, I'm going to do today's date, 420 day. Happy 420 day, everyone. And Twitch, CS116. And Freedom Pfeiffer. I'll put some in. And Zen. I'll have two investigators. Brand new case. Create a brand new case. Case directories and /var/live/autopsy 420. Oh, happy 420 day. Please select the name. I'm going to say Freedom Pfeiffer. Add a host. Host number 1. What's the host? Host is the name of a computer being investigated. It can be a, description is going to be evidence disk. Well, it can be anything. Time zone, I'm not putting that in. Time skew adjustment. Here's interesting. Path of alert hash database and path of ignore hash database. Really? What's that? So if you're ever working on a case on child pornography, for example, law enforcement, there is a database of, hashes of child porn pictures. So it's a really long list. It's like a big long list. And so what happens is, I remember there was Zen who actually said you can't unsee. So what happens is, you you put the path of this database of known really bad image files. And what happens is a tool like Autopsy can actually just scan your entire. Once it opens up a drive, it can actually just open up the entire. It can scan the entire drive and see if any file. Calculate the checksum of all the files, and if like pictures, for example, and if the hash value of a picture matches any of the hashes in the alert database, you have a match. And there is crystal clear evidence that the drive had child porn without even looking at the pictures. That's the whole point of a hash database. We don't have one. For this case, we don't even have an ignore either. Okay, so I'm going to add host. Add host 1 to case 2023-0420. All right. Now the important part. Now we must import an image for this host. Where the hell did I put this thing? Now, this is where you got to be really careful. /home, /defcon, /workspace, /evidence.dmg, I believe it is. Yep. That's where I stored the image file. Copy selection. Add image file. Enter the full path, starting with a slash. Is this a disk? Yep, there's a disk. Now, import method. I have 3 different import methods. To analyze the image file, it must be located in the evidence locker. It can be imported from the current location using a symbolic link, alias, by copying or moving it. Do I want to make another copy of a 50 megabyte file? Probably not. So I just want a symlink, which is an alias, a link to the location. So there's no moving, no copying. It's always going to be in my /home, /defcon, /workspace directory. Hit next. Okay, data integrity. An MD5 hash can be used to verify the integrity of the image. With split images, this hash is for full. Oh, interesting. Now we'll ignore it. We don't need it for today. File system details. Okay. Add. And it's a FAT16 drive. Okay. Looks like we're good. Nothing here. Boom. Alright. Here we are. We have an open case. Select a volume to analyze or add a new image file. Let's analyze this disk mount. Let's see what happens. Oh, let's go to details first. Any good details? No. How about this? Extract strings of the entire volume. We don't want to do that yet. Extracting the ASCII and Unicode strings from a file system will make it easier for. Okay, let's not do that yet. All right, let's do to analyze the disk. Let's see if there's anything here. Oh. No file analysis, no file type, no metadata? Really? What are the image details? Doesn't look very interesting. Alright, I can do predefined searches like IP. Ooh, here we go. I have no idea what I'm looking at. That's a okay. But I can't do any file analysis on this disk, on this very first thing. That kind of sucks. Alright, let's not waste our time. Alright, let's jump to here. The FAT16. Let's go to details on this. Ooh, volume 2, image 1, ROS, mounting point, FAT16. We can extract all the strings. Let's close that, not yet. But let's go to analyze the sieve drive and let's see what happens, folks. Okay, interesting. Now we have file analysis, we have file type and image data, image details and metadata all available. Obviously, the first thing that we're going to do is file analysis and let's see what happens. Here we go. Interesting. Remember Avocado said there was only 2 files, but now I see files marked in red. I see a whole bunch of underscore dot underscore files that are in red here. Remember the dot underscore stack.txt file? That's there. We saw that on the Mac. The dot underscore WebP, that's also there too. Anyone want to take a wild ass guess what the red color means? Anyone want to take a wild guess what the red color means in Sleuthkit Autopsy? Yeah, no bueno. Deleted files. Take a look. We have one full JPEG file in red. Let's see what happens. Can we click on it? Oh yeah. There we go. View full size image. I can do that. You didn't see this on the Mac. Another one. You didn't see this the first time around. Hmm. Hmm. The red. What is that? Ooh. Oh, another one. You didn't see that the first time around. Mac logo. We're seeing a lot more, and of course, the usual smashing the stack document. That's still here. And the WebP. Binary data. So now we have really uncovered a lot. We have uncovered quite a bit of deleted files. Can we do a keyword search? Yeah. Here's some predefined searches. IP, CC for credit card, social security number, date. Let's do IP. There we go. Still. What about CC? Not found. IP. No. How about SSN1? Not found. SSN2? Not found. Date? Whole bunch of places where I found date. I even have like the here it is. 25 occurrences of January, February, March, April, May, June. Oh yeah, it does a keyword searches. There you go. Keyword searches. Not good. No bueno. Alright, I think we've seen enough here on what Sleuthkit and Autopsy can do. Let's close that. We're not done yet though. I think we can do a close the host. We can do a kind of a, well, I think we can close the case. Let's close out of this. Let's get out of here. So now you can see how Sleuthkit and Autopsy can be used to recover files. Let's talk about Foremost. Now, here's the thing. Sleuthkit and Autopsy, Autopsy is a graphical front end. What is Foremost, though? What if you're just a fan of something called command line? Well, let me just go to my personal website right now. Let me just give you a little bit of a backstory of how I got to know Foremost. Now, this presentation I gave back in 2010 to the High Technology Crimes Investigation Association in New England chapter, the HTCIA. I want to give a shout out to my friends at the htcia.org. As I said earlier, I give a lot of credit to the law enforcement giving me a start to my career, which is what has been today. Fun time, but the HTCIA is an international organization on high-tech crimes, and a lot of members are law enforcement. And in order to be a member of the High Tech Crimes Investigation Association, you have to be vetted by not one but two members of law enforcement. They got to sign your application. And so I'm very grateful for the Medford Department of Police Department and the HTCIA for vetting me into the HTCIA. They used to have some real kick-ass Christmas parties. So much fun. And I would do it all over again. The problem is, as time has changed, I haven't been a paying member for over a decade, but I still have only fond memories and the connections I made at the High Tech Crime at DHTCIA, which I'm still friends with a lot of people. They have a lot of online training and special events. And hell, back in the good old days, I used to give trainings to the HTCIA, and I did one on security of online games, which of course, as we know, that's become a nightmare now, over 20 years later. But investigation and incident handling using Backtrack. This is an old presentation I did in 2009. Do the math, 14 years ago, right? Yeah, 14 years ago. This was a general chapter meeting I gave in September 2009. Backtrack is now better known as Kali Linux. Backtrack. Yeah, fun times. Forensics capabilities. There is an example. I remember some of the tools I've used. There's one is a souped up version of DD, which is created by the Defense Cyber Labs, Cyber Forensics Lab, part of the Department of Defense. Want to give a shout out to Jim Christie, who's retired, used to run the lab. What it does resolve some of DD shortcomings, including does a calculation of the MD5 checksum on the fly, even has a status bar, and even can use the wipe disk. DD Rescue is, DD kind of sucks if you actually use if you use it for a damaged disk, but DD_rescue is basically DD for broken drives. And Foremost, my friend Foremost. Foremost is a command line tool to do what they call file carving and recovery. It was also developed by the Department of Defense. How it works is actually just read headers, footers, and internal data structures, and even creates an audit file that produces a list of findings. So what we're going to use right now is we're going to use Foremost. So I'm going to go to my workspace, and I have evidence.dmg and Foremost. Foremost recovers file using the headers, footers, and data structures. You can recover files from a disk image based on file types based on the -T switch. You can recover a JPEG, GIF, PNG, BMP, AVI, EXE, MPEG, WAVE, and RIF files, movie, PDF, doc, zip files, RAW, CPP files, just to name a few. All right, so let's see if you want to just recover all the JPEG files. So, here it is. It's a Foremost -S100 -T -I. All right, Foremost -S100 -T JPEG -I. Evidence.dmg. Watch what happens. Bing! Output. All right, see the output? Well, let's take a look at the audit file. How many JPEG files are found? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 JPEG files. And what are they? So just like that, Foremost just recovered all the JPEG files on the evidence.dmg. Deleted, not deleted, doesn't matter. Alright, so I'm going to do an RF minus RF of the output folder, and let's do it again. But in this time, instead of doing JPEG, we do PNG. Doesn't do WebPs, I don't think, because it's too new. Workspace, output, PNGs, and there was only one. Bing! Let me just remove RMIS output the output, but this time I'm just going to do TXT. Oh, it doesn't do TXT file, that's weird. PDFs. Workspace. Output. Nope. No PDFs. None. And that, my friends, is how we recovered all the files. And that's it. So we have done file recovery with both SalutKit and Autopsy, and also with Foremost. Yeah. So we've done that. So now we've done our demo. We've done DD, SalutKit, Autopsy, and Foremost. So we're going to go, so this actually is a very good prelude to next week, the final Twitch session, which is incident handling. So what in the world is incident handling? Incident handling is a very broad term, okay, but it also can be used for incident handling and incident response. Incident handling is logistics, communication, coordination, and planning in order to resolve an incident. Okay, incident response is all the technical components required in order to analyze and contain an incident. All right, so wait a minute, why did I bring up incident handling? I mean, I thought we were talking about forensics. Well, are there any tie-ins? And the answer is, yeah, there are some overlaps. Well, first of all, why is incident handling important? So incident handling is, you would use incident handling, for example, anyone ever done, I've seen these before, sexual harassment email cases, the emails that actually say, I know that you had an affair with blah, blah, blah in the office. Yeah, I've seen those before. And that's where incident handling is important. And that's important because, you know, you don't want to end up with any of these things, like barking up the wrong tree, dead-end investigation, never-ending investigations, legal issues, cost overruns. I didn't even mention morale. Morale issues as well, too. So here's the difference between incident handling and forensics. So forensics is more, okay, what are the who, what, when, where, why? Okay, just answer the damn questions. Okay, it's who done it. Okay, really that's the forensics part. The incident handling, on the other hand, is you must be well versed with all facets of IT and information security. I do know there's a lot of people out there in forensics that are just so focused on what they do, they don't have a much broader knowledge. If you're doing incident handling, you just need to have a much broader knowledge in IT and security and tech. Forensics is answer the question, who, what, when, where, why, who done it, and how. Very much like forensics, there are phases in incident handling as preparation, as PICERL is preparation, identification, the containment, like, you know, stop the bleeding, eradication, get rid of the problem, like a malware, recovery, and lessons learned. When you're doing forensic, you usually don't, you usually don't go into the containment, eradication, recovery, and lessons learned. If you are interested in learning more about incident handling and also get certified, take the SANS SEC Sec 504 course, which is Hacker Tools, Techniques, Exploits, Incident Handling. Yours truly was an alum of this course. Now, this is where I think I'm done. Yeah. I'm almost done. Yeah. So, yours truly is an alum of the Sec 504 course. Let me just bring that up. I took the course back in 2007. Now, first of all, you may be wondering what the SANS Institute is. The SANS Institute offers world-class cybersecurity trainings. They make a lot of money from the companies and especially with the DoD and governments. Let me just say the SANS Institute is no joke. They provide world-class training and the instructors are just absolute world-class professionals. Uh, how the courses work is typically, if you're in person, it's 1 week, 9 to 5, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then a capture the flag game on a Friday. There's also a take-home learn on your own kind of course as well too. So you can go to one or two or the Avenue. They give a lot of trainings and certifications. And these are some of the best some of the best technical certifications around. The one problem is, of course, you pay for quality. They're not cheap. Let's go to courses. So think of it this way: SANS really is a boot camp, like they're quality kick-ass boot camp. I'm an alum, so even I went to boot camp. So when people actually say scoff at boot camp, I'm like, I don't care whether it's coding boot camp or security boot camp. It's like, I'm an alum of a boot camp. There's nothing wrong with it. SANS is not cheap. They also give SANS courses, I believe, at Black Hat as well. Now here it is, Sec 504, Hacker Tools, Techniques, and Incident Handling. All right, here is the course syllabus. Modern cloud and on-premise systems, yada yada. This in-person 6 days, live, online, and on demand. Let's take a look at the syllabus. Day 1 is incident response and cyber investigations. You will learn about network investigation, memory investigation, malware investigation, cloud investigation, PowerShell, network persistence and activity, enumeration of system kernels for Windows, memory investigation, malware investigations, cloud, Linux Olympics, PowerShell Olympics. Okay. And hold on. Let's talk about look at this. Day 2, recon, scanning, and enumeration attacks. What the hell is that? Open source intelligence with Bitafoot, host discovery and assessment with Nmap. Haven't you done that before? Host shadow cloud asset discovery with Masscan. Windows Server block SMB session attacks. MITRE attack framework. Website reconnaissance. Network and host scanning with Nmap. That looks familiar. All right, what's day 3 like? Password and access attacks. Local password guessing with Hydra. Password cracking with John the Ripper. That looks familiar. Password cracking with Hashcat. That looks familiar. The many uses of Netcat. That looks familiar. Public facing and drive-by attacks. Metasploit. Command injection. Cross-site scripting. SQL injection. Server-side request forgery. Interesting. Yeah, I remember I was sort of a beginner when I took it in 2007. Lateral movement, Metasploit C2. So it should come at no surprise to you that a lot of my security knowledge, like formal knowledge, came from, well, this course. And of course, the capture flag event. And I was, at one point, a certified incident handler. I got my certification in 2000. The certification back then was like $300. It's multiple choice, open book exam. You have to pass. You had to get over an 80% to be certified. So I passed on my first shot. And the certification only 4 years because after 4 years you had to renew. I didn't renew. I didn't need it. Laptop requirements. You need VM. How much is the damn course now? Is it like $8,000? Training and pricing. Here we go. $82.75. If you are a student, I can tell you they used to be real generous for student discounts and stuff. Yeah. Um, so yeah, do they have the four courses? Do they have forensics? I yeah, here it is. Digital forensics and incident response. 508. The GCFA. What will you learn? Actually, I'm quite curious. I've never known anyone who taken this course. You will actually receive a workstation. Oh, crowd. F Response Enterprise, and you get a packaging. Oh, forensics lab, threat hunting, malware persistence, memory forensics, intrusion analysis. Yeah, Cobalt Strike. That's a lot. How much is this one? Training and price. It should be at around yeah, 82.75. All right. Yeah, I know former students have taken a malware course. They say it's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, they have different courses at different levels. Hold on. If you're a beginner, if you want to start at the very, do they offer 504 anymore? Hold on. I wonder if they offer the 504 course. That's like the starting course. Oh, they can even do it by okay, here it is. Do you have access to material? The rest are new beside the hold on. The courses by skill level. New to cyber. All right, what do they got? Foundation, computer technology security, introduction to cybersecurity, digital forensics. Oh, all right, so they have a whole bunch of courses for different skill levels. Yeah. Yeah. So other than that, I will talk more about SANS and where do you go for not only just SANS, but like what other opportunities and resources are out there. Where do you go next Thursday? All right, and we are good. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Good night, everyone. Yeah, thanks a lot.